Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Weird Disney Cars Diecast Errors and Inconsistencies, where I take a look at weird Disney Cars Diecast errors and inconsistencies from the Diecast line, and sometimes other merchandise lines as well. Today, though, I am once again not doing this alone, as I am joined by the one and only BGM Studios, a great channel and a great friend of mine who I've featured on my channel several times in the past. Really great guy, really great channel. Leave a link to his channel in the description below. He does car stuff as well as Thomas stuff. And I'll also leave a link to his more recently created DCC Sodor channel, where he does DCC Thomas and Friends model train stuff, which is really cool.
Hello, everyone. BGM Studios here, and I'm thankful to be able to take part in an Errors and Inconsistencies collab.
Alright, let's get started. I'll do the first one. Back in 2017, for the first and only time ever, the Disney Cars Diecast mainline did not use character artwork on the packaging. Back in 2017, when Cars 3 was originally coming out, for all of 2017, following May 1st, when they switched over to doing Cars 3 only releases, the packaging just featured a red and black design with a Cars 3 logo and no character artwork on the packaging. This was something that just infuriated me when I originally saw it. I thought it was cheap, I thought it was lazy, I thought it was rushed, and I was really disappointed to see them not make character artwork. Following 2017, Mattel went back to their usual idea of including character artwork on the packaging, but for 2017, we unfortunately did not have any. And to this day, there are still a good few cars released in 2017 who don't have their own artwork to this day. And I'm actually planning on doing a complete separate video on that pretty soon, going over all of the different cars from 2017 that still don't have their artwork over 4 years later.
All right, looks like it's my turn to talk. So let's get into one of the first weird things that have happened this year is we got a new 11 pack for the Piston Cup race from Cars 1 with Finish Line McQueen labeled as Tongue McQueen. Finish Line McQueen has been out since 2008. So, how does this happen? I mean, I guess I could see because he's sticking out his tongue, but it's very obvious that someone at Mattel made a big mistake. Even back in 2017, when they released him on his own as a single in those Lightning McQueen packs, he was called Finish Line McQueen. It's called Finish Line McQueen the last time he was released, and then the first time he was released, both exclusive to multi-packs. So, how do you make that mistake? Honestly, beyond me. I'm not sure, but it happened, and now we get to talk about it in the video.
When I first started making this series all the way back in 2019, I started keeping a list of a bunch of different errors and inconsistencies that I could talk about in future episodes. And I don't really consult it all that much anymore, but sometimes if I'm struggling with my choices for an episode, I'll take a quick glance at it. There are a bunch of different things that I have written down on there. But probably the weirdest thing I have written down there is this. Quote, DJ is glowing in 2013. Now, what on earth can this mean? Well, take one quick look at DJ's 2013 release, specifically the release of DJ with Flames, and you'll notice that he has a strange glowing blue outline around his artwork. This weird blue glowing outline has not ever been on DJ's artwork in any other years. It wasn't on him before, it wasn't on him after. It hasn't been on him since. I don't know why he was glowing in 2013. Initially, I thought, oh well, it was the With Flames version, so maybe they wanted to make it look like he was glowing because of that. But none of the other tuners have this glowing outline around them for their With Flames releases. And again, in the subsequent years, DJ wasn't glowing on his artwork, so I just have no clue why they did this.
Let's get on to another error. This time, this is a long standing error. Since his first release in 2011, Miguel Camino has had a red spoiler, and in all his artwork, it's black. You'd think Mattel would have noticed this and changed it up, but surprisingly, in 10 years, there's never been a change. Just seems like a surprisingly small error for Mattel to make on their part, but it's lasted this long and nobody's ever changed it. I mean, it's just molding it, so I'm sure that they could mold it in a black plastic instead of the red plastic, but nope, I guess not.
I feel like Cars 2 Mac is one of the most forgotten about haulers that Mattel has ever made. People really just don't remember the fact that there's a Cars 2 Mac, and it makes sense. He was only ever released once in 2012. He had a pretty limited release, and Mac really isn't in Cars 2 all that much, especially compared to the first and third Cars movies. Anyway, Cars 2 Mac is a pretty rare hauler, and he's one that I've wanted for a really long time just because of his obscurity. Like I said, Mac is barely in Cars 2, and he's a diecast I honestly didn't know existed until I got into collecting in 2017. But there's one glaring problem with him. One problem that I just learned the other day while researching for this video. One problem that honestly makes me kinda not want him as much anymore. Cars 2 Mac uses the wrong image of Lightning McQueen on his side, using an image of Cars 1 McQueen instead of the Hudson Hornet Piston Cup McQueen image used in the movie. I don't even get how they mess stuff like this up. Just use the image that was in the movie. How do we mess this up? It's the exact same thing with McQueen with Sign, which the world-renowned Turbo Tractor talked about in the collaboration episode I did with him a few months back, where McQueen with Sign has a different image than the sign has in the movie. Like, how do you mess this up? Just use the picture that was used in the movie. This is something that just really bothers me, and I find it really disappointing to learn this about a diecast that I've wanted quite a bit for quite a while.
So let's stick with World Grand Prix racers and move on to the Ciao Francesco. Released as a super chase in 2014, we got this really, really weird error again with the fact that he comes with an all-in-all can. But in the movie, he definitely has a martini glass. And I think that's very funny that I don't know if it was Mattel thinking, oh, we don't want kids to have martini glasses, but then again, there is that Guido that was released in 2013 with Luigi that has the shaker and the martini glasses. So why the next year did they not release Francesco with the correct glass? I don't know. And then we move around to where Francesco had the Chow McQueen bumper stickers. This time on the Francesco model, it says Chow LT McQueen. Was that concept art from the movie? I have no idea because the movie had been out for 3 years. So how do you make that mistake? Because you'd think that they'd be able to get that one right. I mean, the movie'd been out for 3 years. Then again, toy designers don't usually use the actual movie, so concept art must have said LT McQueen, and someone saw that and went, that's a little convoluted, and just changed it to Chow McQueen in the movie. Didn't tell anyone at Mattel, and I guess nobody at Mattel that designs the toys watches the movies.
I feel like I'm always talking about the XRS cars in this series. I feel like I mention them at least in one entry per episode, although it has been a few episodes since I've brought them up. And the error I'm going to tell you guys about today is probably going to drive each and every one of you who owns this car absolutely insane. So, I'm sorry, but this is one of the things where once you see it, you will never be able to unsee it. Every single XRS rocket racer included a blast wall. It was just the pit stop barrier accessory redecorated. This time it's a wall that they can drive through. It was really cheap, okay? You guys know I'm not a big fan of the rocket racers. But one of the cars in the final wave of the rocket racers was Eric Breaker with blast wall. You see, each of the blast walls include a checkerboard pattern on it, with white and one other color that's relevant to the car included. But Eric Breaker has an error with his blast wall, as every single copy of Eric Breaker with blast wall is missing one of the green checkers. That's right, if you look at Eric's blast wall, the fourth one going from left to right on the bottom row of green checkers is missing from Eric's blast wall. Like I said, this is something that's probably going to drive you guys insane if you own this car and haven't seen it. If you never noticed this, it's on every single copy of the blast wall. When I first saw it, I thought it was a one-time error. No, it's on every single one of him. How this happened, I have absolutely no idea. But if you have Eric Breaker with blast wall, make sure to take a look at his blast wall and go absolutely crazy knowing that it's missing one single checker and there's nothing you can do about it.
I mentioned Guido a bit back there, so let's move on to something that's just an awful, awful thing that Mattel did, and that is releasing Sweet Tea and Guido as a two-pack when Sweet Tea is basically the same size as Luigi. So why can they release Luigi and Guido as one car, but Sweet Tea and Guido as a two-pack? Doesn't make any sense to me. Is it Mattel trying to get more money? Did it cost more to produce a Sweet Tea? I don't know. But that's weird on their part. I don't understand why they did that. That's a packaging inconsistency right there. Oh, errors and inconsistencies.
I could probably spend several different episodes talking about every little thing that's wrong with the Cars Lego Duplo sets. But I won't. I'm not that cruel, okay? It's Lego Duplo. I'm gonna cut them some slack. Accuracy isn't really what they're going for. So I'm not gonna complain about the accuracy in the builds of the Cars Lego Duplo sets. Instead, I'm gonna complain about the inaccuracies with the characters in the Lego Duplo sets. Because the least you can do is make the characters look how they're supposed to, right? In the past, I've spoken about how the Lego Duplo Cruisin' McQueen includes a spoiler, since it just reuses the Cars 1 McQueen Lego Duplo mold. They didn't bother to make a new mold without the spoiler, and since it's Lego Duplo, that spoiler is molded onto McQueen. It is not removable. But that isn't the only time where they've done something strange with a character's spoiler, as Finn McMissile in the Big Bentley set 5828, has a spoiler for some odd reason, and it is this absolutely massive additional piece. Now, the nice thing about Finn here is that, unlike McQueen, his spoiler is actually removable, but still, the spoiler is huge, and Finn never had it in the movie, and I have no idea as to why he has it here. The only thing I could think of is maybe it's supposed to represent like his different transformations he does, but none of them give him a spoiler like that. And as long as we're on the subject of spoilers, yeah, the Cars 2 McQueen included in the set uses the Cars 1 mold and has the Cars 1 spoiler, but that's probably a story for another time.
And then we move on to one of the most interesting inconsistencies and errors that we have seen, which is that the cars that we see in the movie that we never saw their fronts, we only see them in the artwork and the diecasts. First car that is given this title or honor, if you want to call it that, is Vern. Vern was released back in 2009, and he was the first car that we never saw the front of in the movie. He's going into the Los Angeles Speedway, and you can see him. I think he's pointed out in the Blu-ray car finder game. That's the first we ever hear about him. And then also from Cars, released in 2009 as well, is Jonathan Wrenchworth's. Try saying that 3 times fast. I won't. So anyways, Jonathan was first seen, or his backside was first seen in the Rusty's commercial. He is the car that his bumper gets all nice and shiny, and he's surprisingly been released multiple times. Don't know how a car we never see the front of can get released that many times, but It's pretty cool if you ask me. So we'll stick with cars for this one, and a third one that we know of, that I know of at least, thanks to Ty, is Bud. Bud is the Super Chase RV that was released in 2016, again, as a Super Chase. And we only see the back because his back is the more interesting side. That sounds a little weird. Anyways, he's got that Pixar short on the back. I was going to call it Hoppin', but apparently it's Boundin' because he's a jackalope, not a bunny, as I thought he was. Oops. Anyways, so we see Bud in the crowd of RVs, obviously. And, again, the more interesting part is that he's got that artwork of the jackalope from Boundin' on it. And then he's just a plain white RV. So then we move on to a couple cars we see in Cars 3 when Cruz Ramirez is leaving the Florida 500. We see a hearse and a small Mini Cooper with a bunch of luggage on her roof. And those two are Steve Herschel and Keel Motoray. Again, we only see the back of them. We never see the front until the artwork. Which again, kind of weird because they are pretty minor background characters and we got releases of them really, really quickly. And we didn't even finish the next gen racers by the time we had releases of these guys. We still technically don't have all the next gens, but that's getting off topic. So I'll guess I'll end it here. Thank you, T-Toy Reviews Ty, for the opportunity to be a part of this collab. I'm glad that I could have been a part of this, and thank you guys for listening to me ramble on about random cars, errors, and inconsistencies. So I'll end it here and probably hand it back over to Ty to end off the video. So thank you guys for listening in.
And there you have it, guys. This has been another episode of Disney Cars Diecast Errors and Inconsistencies. Huge thank you to BGM Studios for featuring in this episode, and another big thank you to Cartendo for making that awesome intro at the beginning with the pixel art. He did all of that. He designed the sprites, he did the animation, he even did the music. So, huge thanks to Cartendo, and a massive thank you to BGM Studios for doing part of this episode with me. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to check out their channels, link in the description. We'll see you guys next time. Bye now.